8 participants, and we have only 1 hour 15 minutes. So within that limited time, let us express our views freely and frankly, so that we can take forward our vision and mission as to how we can give power to the people. Once we give, there is power with the people, all problem can be solved. Because of the visibility problem on my computer, may I first go to our first speaker, Anita Brandon, and Anita needs no introduction. And Anita, will you please give your presentation first?
Shall I start with your permission, Dr. Matthew?
Yes, please.
Thank you. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to Kila and Gift and Dr. Thomas Isaac for giving us this opportunity to connect and to express our views on this topical issue. Now, if I were to recount what good work panchayats are doing in Rajasthan and in the northwestern region, 10 things come to my mind at once. First and foremost, they have been spreading IEC, information, education, communication, through public announcements, through wall writing, in very creative forms. They have been engaging with the lockdown enforcement at the panchayat level by creating corona vigil teams, not allowing people to enter the village and not allowing people to go out of the villages. Then they have been doing sanitization. And I think there has been some kind of an overkill on this account. I've raised this issue on the Ministry of Panchayati Raj website, WhatsApp group also, because this kind of inadvertent and oversaturated sodium hypochlorite spraying in public buildings, in pathways, this is also having side effects on asthma and pollution and respiratory illnesses. But this has been rigorously done by all Gram Panchayats. And I would say that they have been really innovative in fundraising, in donation raising. In Rajasthan, we call it the Bhamasha funding, where the people, the philanthropists have contributed to rise to the occasion to feed the needy, the people in quarantine institutions, and also running community kitchens to provide cooked food to people who are in village schools in quarantine. Also distribution of PDS, the dry rations to the needy and the poor. Distribution of soaps, sanitizers and masks. And under MG Narega in Rajasthan, in the last 1 month, we have crossed labor deployment starting from some few thousands to now more than 25 lakh people. Maybe the returnees from outside are also adding to this, but very good labor deployment in MG and REGS. And in Rajasthan, from the government side, there has been some dedicated funding made available to panchayats, although be it small amounts for corona arrangements of sanitization, etc. And there is also, like Odisha, the scheme for declaring the frontline functionaries as corona warriors, and 50 lakhs insurance provided to all frontline functionaries like Anganwadi workers, Ashas, ANMs, and Panchayat functionaries. Now I would like to come up with the suggestions. This is a time to rise to the occasion, and I would like to strike the chord, taking a cue from the erstwhile speaker in the morning session who said we have to create a rural renaissance and reimagine India. In this context, I would like to flag for the attention of all the listeners and who are viewing this webinar that last 2 years, there has been, in fact, since the 14th Finance Commission, there has been this exclusive focus on strengthening Gram Panchayat development plans. And in the last 2 years, we have also come up with the strategy of People's Plan campaign from the Union government, in which we are focusing on creation of the Gram Panchayat development plan and also the poverty reduction plan. But now the point that was mooted by Kerala experience, that we have to now have a uniform strategy of preparing disaster mitigation plans at the panchayat level. That has to be integrated with the Gram Panchayat development planning. I would also like to say that simply planning for Gram Panchayat disaster mitigation will not suffice. You have to earmark funds. And because the 15th Finance Commission is yet to table its final report, I would like to say that at least 10 to 20% of funds should be earmarked for COVID management, for disaster management. Hitherto, there has been no head of this kind in the Panchayat finances. Similarly, I would also like to flag for the attention of all viewers that we in Rajasthan are caught in a bind. We are in a peculiar situation of the 5-yearly Panchayati Raj elections, which commenced in January, which were due in January. Every time, every 5 years, we were completing them by February. But this year, because of redemarcation of constituencies and increased number of panchayats and blocks in the state, we were through the election process being conducted in a phased manner, and suddenly, because of corona and because of the national lockdowns, the election process stopped. And now we are in a situation where almost 50% panchayats in the state are being run by bureaucrats, because the charge was taken from the erstwhile panchayat elected leaders and handed over to local bureaucrats. Now, in this scenario, also the upper two houses, the block panchayats and district panchayats elections have not yet been conducted. Similarly, for urban local bodies, and the elections have been deferred by High Court decision till August. Now, I would like to suggest, why can't we have through NIC interventions some kind of, because these days all union ministries are excelling in dashboard management, in application-based management. If we can create Arogya Setu and have some 10 crore people, operating it, why can't we have panchayat elections in time, which were due to be completed by February, either through secret postal ballot or through online voting or through some app-based voting? Somebody has to really make it happen. This is a priority. Because till panchayat elections are not completed, then we will defer the creation of the State Finance Committee. We will then defer the creation of the District Planning Committee. And so all the district level planning, which is also in abeyance, I would say, since the coming into vogue of Niti Aayog, we have lost the focus on district plans. Earlier, the 11th Planning Commission in the 11th plan period had really given a concerted advisory to states that no funds will be given to states from center till we have district plans subsumed under state plans. Now this has gone for a toss, and whatever district plan exercise exists is paper only. If we are to prepare the plans, not only the Gram Panchayat development plans being vetted at the block and then finally at the DPC level, but under them subsume the district disaster management plans. We recently attended in February a national colloquium at NIRD, where the Skill Development Ministry came forth and said they have some 30 lakh crores for skill development, and they are reposing the trust under district collectors to create the district skill plan. Now, why should there be parallel bodies doing? Look, the DMRF, the District Mining Royalty Fund, operated under the district collector, the District Disaster Management Fund, operated by district collector, District Skill Plan and Fund, operated by district collector. Why can't we revive and repose the trust in district planning committees and make them happen, make them a living reality? The decentralized governance seems to be a sort of forgotten agenda with these times of increasing centralized commands of how to go about preparing panchayat plans, how to load them onto the national dashboard created, and some dashboard management also creates some fudge data, I do believe. So I think we have to really believe in this ethos and philosophy of rural renaissance. People going back, this mass exodus happening is a testimony that people repose faiths in the villages of India and let the local governments be revived be strengthened and capacitated. Now, I would also like to say that in terms of the 15th Finance Commission, where the 50% funds have been tied for the wash, the sanitation, water, rainwater harvesting, etc., that is an opportunity to dovetail that funding and make it move to provide masks, sanitizers, and personal hygiene strengthening in every rural household. Similarly, I would like to say there is this big, Ayushman Bharat program. Why should Ayushman Bharat only provide tertiary care in district hospitals? Why should it not now flag the agenda for increased corona testing and COVID hospitals being decentralized to rural areas? Because the whole funding and the financing has to be localized. In the words of our Honorable Prime Minister, he has given the be vocal for the local. So we are all the vocalists and advocates for strengthening the local voices, the local governance. And I think there is every rhyme and reason that we should synchronize, pool resources available under Ayushman Bharat, under the DMRF funds, under the disaster management, under the skill development, to synergize it and place it in the hands of local governments to make better plans which are holistic. And it is not just COVID. In Rajasthan, we are infested with the whole invasion army of locusts now. Half the districts already losing crores worth crops. So with climate change, we will increasingly be, under the manifestation of these regular disasters of some kind or the other. So I would conclude by saying that we have to prepare our panchayats for build their capacities, build their finances. I'm amazed that even after 25 years of 73rd Amendment, we have not thought of earmarking dedicated funds for holding Gram Sabhas. The union government expects that the agenda for Gram Sabhas, 2 Gram Sabhas in the People's Plan campaign quarter every year. And now, because FFC, 15th Finance Commission, has replaced the 14th, we have to revise the plans with the new guidelines. And Gram Sabhas have to be convened afresh. In half of our panchayats in Rajasthan, the elected leaders are not there because panchayat elections got stalled and postponed. These are issues that I'm flagging for everybody's attention. And in terms of the language being used, my last point is we have to be sensitive and inclusive in the use of language, which is coming forth in Corona times. Social distancing, which is very stigmatizing and exclusionary, I think should be replaced by physical distancing. Corona suspects, I'm alarmed. Our union ministry asks us to furnish a list of panchayat-wise Corona suspects as if they are criminals. I think it should be sensitively Corona affected people instead of Corona warriors, because Corona is here to stay, COVID-19 is here to stay with us. So we would be best, to use COVID stress relievers or COVID peacekeeper armies or forces. Why always have this analogy of a war? Why not peace? I would remind you of goal 16 of SDG. So let's build justice-based, peace-based, inclusive societies. So we have to look at our language also in terms of the capacity building and training strategies. Ministry asks us to furnish views on how we will adhere to social distancing. I think we have to make the batch size small for training of ward members and panchayat leaders, but this online training or webinar-based training cannot really work well with lacks of panchayat leaders and functionaries, which we have to address. We can make batch size smaller, training can be round the year process, not just campaign mode, but webinars also have technical snacks. This morning also we witnessed there were echoing, there's times sometimes speakers were made to wait. And this kind of non-interactive method cannot work well for building capacities of panchayats. So with this, I would like to stop here and to my.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Brandon, for. Oh, hello. Since Dr. George Matthew is now off the line, I must say that it was really a passionate expression of the, what needs to be done. We have done a lot, but we have to do more. Thank you very much, Professor Brandon. Now I call upon Professor Rosie Wade, SIRD Punjab. Professor Rosie Wade.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Hello.
Yeah, we are able to hear you. Your video is not coming. That's all. Please
Sir,
continue.
my video is on. From my side, it is on.
Okay. What is our control room people saying?
Ma'am, you may continue.
Yeah.
There may be some problem with the connectivity. Ma'am, you can continue.
No, you may continue with audio. Sorry that there's some problem here. I don't know where the problem is. Please continue.
Can you hear me?
We are hearing you very well. Please go ahead. Your sound is very clear, even without picture.
Thank you so much. So, first of all, sir, I am thankful to the Ministry of Finance and Taxation, Government of Kerala, GIFT, and Kila, Dr. Joy, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this webinar, sir, which is quite timely and really needed at this point of time. So, putting before you, because of the paucity of time at my disposal, so I just want to bring to your notice, sir, what are the main action points during this COVID-19 disaster by the local self-government, especially the rural area, in the rural areas, or by the local self-governance. But before that, sir, I would like to bring some of the specific peculiarities of our state. One is that because we will have to see the preparation and the response from that point of view, sir, we have a very large point of Gram Panchayats as compared to the total rural population. The number of Gram Panchayats is very large, so meaning thereby that the size of the panchayat is very small. So we have another thing is that we have during this period we had so many foreign travelers, as there are so many NRIs from Punjab settling abroad, and they were coming back, and that part was to be taken care of. And then, sir, the most important thing, it was harvesting season for us. So during this period only we had to manage for our harvesting also, procurement also. So now coming to the action points, sir, I would like to also flag one very important point, that in 2019, rather in December, 30th December 2018, we had our elections. So during 2019, the whole year we spent for the capacity building of Gram Panchayats, and we had completed almost one round of Gram Panchayats to most of the Panchayats. One round of training, orientation training had been given to most of the Panchayats, and they were, for the first time, it was 50% reservation for women. So there were so many, half of the elected representatives were women. So we think that it resulted very positively in the outcomes of response towards COVID-19, sir, because as soon as this epidemic was declared and the state government started curfew, and we were one of the first states who resorted to curfew at the first instance. Right from the day one, our Gram Panchayats started fumigation, sanitization, and due care was taken regarding regarding the incidents that these villages are not over sanitized. So due care was taken for that. And the sealing of the villages, in our villages it is also called Thikri Paras, means entry and exit points were sealed day and night by the village youth, and even the women. It has been in the news also that the women were giving paras day and night at the entry and exit. And fumigation, I just forgot to mention, sir, whatever chemicals we got from Punjab government or from Government of India, apart from that, there was zero labor cost. All the fumigation and sanitization was done by the rural youth as a car seva, which is said that without claiming any labor, sir, because Punjab is known for that, sir. regarding social distancing, we may call it physical distancing. It has become a rule of life till now. It has all the public places in the GPs have been marked with the circles at 2 gauge or less than about 1.5 meter to 2 meters for standing people. Ration distribution was done by the Gram Panchayats, and our government, sir, they issued a government order in this regard that every panchayat out of their own sources they can distribute ration, means the dry food items to the needy people in that GP up to rupees 5,000 a month. And then another special power was given by government order to the sarpanches that during curfew, because our government started curfew in the very beginning only, just to give relief to the patients or the needy people in the night, the power was given to the sarpanch that he can issue pass in the night from, it would be valid from 7 p.m. in the night to 6 or 7 p.m. 7 a.m. in the 6 a.m. in the morning, and after that the normal pass will be valid. So this special power was also given to the sarpanches, and some of the leading sarpanches, they also developed their own, they started their own quarantine centers in their villages, because in our GPs there were so many people who were coming from foreign countries, and also from, as you might have heard about Punjab, that they had gone to the Nanded Sahib Gurdwaras to pay their obedience to the to Maharashtra Gurdwara. So when they were coming back, some of the villages, they developed their own quarantine centers, kept the visitors, the incomers over there. And so especially to address this epidemic and also to take care of the livelihood of the people, the government has taken 2-3 very specific measures, which I would like to highlight here. One is that SHG have been encouraged to prepare the masks. Till now, sir, more than 4,65,000 masks have been prepared by the SHGs. On one hand, this has given employment, livelihood to the self-help groups. On the other hand, they have met with the demand for masks, which was really very high in our state. And as in the morning session, somebody was pointing that NREGA, is it not possible that the NREGA workers can also provided with the masks? So in our state, sir, most of the NREGA works are done with the marks on their face, sir. And then last year, sir, it was 550th year of our Guruji, that was Prakash Divas for us, and in that we had planted 550 trees in every village, and now those trees were just going dry, and we took this opportunity to keep 2 Van Mitras in every GP out of NREGA funds to take care of those plants, so that the climate is also taken care of, and at the same time livelihood is also provided to the rural poor. And then just now, about 1 week ago, we have started, because it was needed because of the summer season have already started, dewatering of the ponds, which is a regular feature. That also we are doing through the NREGA workers, and that also is a part of employment generation during this program. And sir, the most important thing I would like to flag here is about harvesting, because when this epidemic occurred and when the preparations for harvesting were on the anvil, it was thought that because of the problems in the reverse migration of the labor, it would be very difficult for us to take care of procurement. But the government made such a strategic policy in that 3 to 4 villages were clubbed, there were clusters were made, and all the wheat has been procured without any problem, and also by keeping care of this social or physical distancing also, and without any problem, this harvesting has also, this procurement has also been done, and it is near completion, sir. And now we are on the verge of paddy sowing in the coming weeks, sir. So this is all about this thing. And last but not the least, I would like to bring to your notice, sir, that though the panchayats were only 1 year old, but their training had already one round of orientation training had been conducted, which helped us a lot to encourage the PRIs to take very timely actions. For that, sir, one method has proven a blessing for us, and that was during our training only. Before this COVID-19 incident, sir, we had made WhatsApp groups of all the panchayat all the sarpanches at the block level. So these days, during last 47 days, sir, every day we send one message, that is thematic message, showing them what needs to be done as a response to this epidemic. We send a message 6 a.m. in the morning, and all that message is immediately flashed to all the sarpanches. And going even beyond that, our CM has also expressed the desire that all the sarpanches should now make WhatsApp groups of all the households, taking one member at least from all the households in that GP, because our GPs, as I told you in the start only, that the size of GP is very small. So this has become a very good method for us for connecting from the top, from the state level, right to the grassroots people who are at the cutting edge, and to take appropriate action, sir. And under IEC, as I told you, apart from WhatsApp messages, those are thematic, depending upon the action, focusing the action points to be done. We are also sending them audio messages, small video films, and sir, our SIRD is doing all the IEC activities in this regard, and SIRD, all the faculty members and staff of SIRD has undergone IGOT training. They are all IGOT certified trainers, sir. So because with that has helped us a lot to train further our PRIs, because we have a large number of PRIs. So this way we are trying to tackle this problem, and we are our government has also prepared a draft exit policy from this COVID-19. Now we feel that we very soon we will be out of this epidemic, sir, and we wish the best for whole country as well as for Punjab, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rosie. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Thank you. There was some technical interruption, but now I am back. Thank you very much for the experience and the action taken in Punjab. May I now invite Binoy Acharya? Hello, Binoy. Binoy? Binoy is not available? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Binoy?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Binoy, carry on.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good afternoon. I can see that Dr. Joy Elleman sitting there, my fellow panelists, all kind of friends in this panel. Let me first express my sincere thanks to Government of Kerala, and in particular Kila and GIFT, for organizing this event, online seminar, and inviting me for this. The topic, actually the role of local governance in containing COVID-19 is not only most relevant, but indeed a very needed at the present context. In fact, we need to discuss about it, and I'm glad that Kerala has initiated it. Before coming to the state of Gujarat, I would like to mention that Indian states like Kerala itself, Goa and Sikkim, who are able to relatively contain the spread of the virus. If you see, they have a robust public healthcare system up to the ground level, up to the village level, and as a local governance is integrated into it. That need to be kept in mind. As we know, yesterday India has surpassed China. We have 85,000 cases. China has 83,000 cases, and we are number 11 in the globe in terms of number of cases. Gujarat continue to be number 2 and 3. It goes between 2 and 3 after Maharashtra. Gujarat reaching 10,000 mark, and the regions of spread as well as high death is attributed to high comorbidity, quote unquote super spreaders, which I'll come back to that, and late admission of in hospitals because of stigma. These are 3 reasons primarily given by the administration, not I. It's administration. We need to keep in mind. Will not be wrong. It will not be wrong to state that Gujarat has adopted a very highly centralized method of containing the virus. COVID-19 is a public health emergency, but we are adopting a more of police and paramilitary centric action. All the plans are developed and executed by the central and state government with very little or no participation of local government. The mayors, corporators, Jila Panchayat, Panchayat Samiti chairpersons, even sarpanches are completely invisible from the action. It is well understood that lockdown is essential to buy time for a preparedness, particularly at hospital level, and improve capacity for testing. But a preparedness at the grassroots level, at the community level, which is very important, has been thoroughly neglected. It has been often said that disaster, in this case of public health emergency, COVID-19, is manifested in detail at the community level. Hence, community participation is most important. Our lockdown is so stringent that common people are alienated. It has created fear among people. The term super spreaders has stigmatized the entire vending community. The vendors are scared and they're screened at the end of 3rd phase. We are at the end of 3rd phase. By tomorrow, we'll be finishing it. The vendors are screened just now, just before that. And the screening could have been done in a less intrusive manner. If time, I can explain that. But by engaging local health professionals and local government who are not involved. The municipal commissioners and high-level government officials could have restrained themselves, making statements about super spreaders, creating a stigma in the television. Cities are in the front line of COVID-19, but the way we have neglected our migrant workers, the virus is coming to enter the villages now. Overall response of panchayats in Gujarat can be viewed in 3 different scenarios, 3 different categories. First, enthusiastic and self-inspired sarpanches who seek support from local youth. In fact, in Punjab, we are hearing about they create immediate WhatsApp groups, connect with themselves, mobilize local resources, and they work. And this number is very few. Second categories are who get inspired from the first ones, enthusiastic ones, and try to support, mostly through the support of civil society organizations. And the third category is passive and not interested. And that number is huge, large. And we need to understand, because the first 2 categories are in numbers. Most of our public discourse happen because these are the model, these panchayats have developed models. So we always invite them, they give presentations. That is good because they set up, those models need to be replicated. But a third category, which is large in number, we need to know why this number is so high. The third category of GPs are passive, need to be understood closely. Number one, the legitimacy and the authority of PRIs are in question. The affluent and influential people, including the migrants, do not listen to sarpanches or PRI representatives. They don't even give a damn to the village health workers. They violate the home quarantine rules, do not share information, those who are entering village in secret routes or in the middle of the night, do not value the authority of Gram Panchayats. Number two, there are no government order which empowers the sarpanches or even higher tier panchayats to implement, oversee, monitor the home quarantine, even the health checkups by public health officials. Third, there is no organic link between GPs and local public health services as in Kerala to work in coordination. So there is no coordination between public health system and the panchayats. Fourth, there is no adequate facility or infrastructure at village level, like a school with adequate water, toilet, and other facilities to have quarantine homes and isolation facilities. Number five, which need to be understood in Gujarat, GPs do not have staff at their own command. Number six, there are issues of resources. As first category, mobilized resources from NRIs and others, like in Punjab, Gujarat has high number of NRIs, but most people do not have resources. And at the beginning, initial stage in beginning of March, these panchayats, all the panchayats are given an order, an official order. They were asked to use the 14th Finance Commission money, unutilized money, to be used for fumigation, sanitize the public places, providing masks and hand sanitizers to Anganwadi workers at the time of distribution of take-home ration and all this, and doing awareness programs, and almost everybody did that. That was on the earlier stage. For maintaining social distance, or as Ritaji said, physical distance at PDS, this is very interesting. Police is asked to be deployed. Police is deployed at the village level. The involvement of panchayat, gram panchayats are voluntary. As a consequence, the presence of police undermines the authority of local elected representatives, because who is going to listen to whom? Number 8, after current phase of movement of migrant workers, the new challenge has emerged. Gujarat is not the source of migrant workers. It receives migrant workers from other states. As per one government information, about 21 lakh of migrant workers have been registered to return to the Desh in other states. Local government is not involved in organizing or coordinating the smooth passage of these workers to their respective states. Number 9, workers have been returning from Mumbai, Surat to Kutch, Amreli, if you are familiar with the districts of Gujarat and other districts in Saurashtra. The administration, the district administration has put checkpost at the entry of the district and registers the incoming population and informs this information to the health workers as well as gram panchayats. In Kutch, if you are familiar, at Surajbari bridge, there is a checkpost, and there is a systematic registration is happening. But the quarantine home is done at block level, not at gram panchayat level. And there is no engagement of any level of panchayat raj institutions in maintaining, managing the quarantine homes, institutional quarantine homes. The government and police has no means to identify and trace who is coming to in the secret route, who is running away from the quarantine homes in the night and coming back in the morning, who is wandering around violating quarantine norms, whether the public health workers are genuinely monitoring the health conditions or not. This is not in the purview of the panchayats.
Binoy,
Yeah,
hello?
just last minute, 30 seconds.
Yes, please.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Principles of subsidiarity must be invoked in taking action on this public health emergency. Gujarat has go a long way in transferring functions, functionary and finance to the local government in addressing this pandemic. To conclude, the states with strong public health system up to the ground level, effective decentralized governance with active community participation can contain this virus. It looks Gujarat is not ready for it. Dr. David Nabarro, the WHO Special Envoy on COVID-19, states that India has done remarkably well so far. However, the next phase would be the preparedness of local government in suppressing and managing at the community level. I think we need to learn from our fellow states and other states like China, Vietnam, even Sri Lanka, and prepare. Next phase, we must prepare our self-governing institutions to contain this virus. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. And these are very serious observations, which is posing a number of questions. Now we have 4 speakers and we have only 30 minutes before us. So may I now invite Bhim? Hello, Bhim.
Yeah, I'm there. Are you able to hear me?
Yes. How is Maharashtra? Tell us.
Maharashtra. Thank you, Binoy. Thank you, because this is the era of positive thinking only. I think we need to criticize also wherever it is not working properly. So Maharashtra is Maha in numbers, number of patients and number of testing also. And even politically, we are little bit stable now because of CM's election, because of tri-party maturity is there. And thirdly, there is a strong opposition which is there. But economically, we are weak because still we have not received our GST, which we are demanding. Even civil society organizations are demanding, and government also has sent this letter since long back. But these are the things which is very important. Rural area is in control, but urban area, because we have 28,370 local governments, 2.5 lakhs elected representatives, but still we can say that urban area is not in control, but rural area is in control. We are working with elected women leaders in Maharashtra with 20 associations, and we are getting good results. But at the same time, we get to know number of things which disturbs you, and we need to focus on that. So actually, I remember our national slogan that "Gaon gaon mein ho sarkar, bato Delhi ke adhikar," which is very much required in this COVID situation. Actually, at the level of government's helplines and helplines of civil society organizations, I think private helplines are doing well. But government helplines, actually we have published helpline numbers of all the parent ministers, but nobody is responding. But Priya, COVID-19 migration work, that WhatsApp group which is going on, we have state COVID-19 relief group, that group is working. We have this Reshni Prati Samiti food PDS group, they are working. I think it's very important that we need to work very closely with this Food Corporation of India and even with this PDS system, because that is the oxygen which migrant workers are getting now. We are working with National Health Mission also, creating a number of volunteers as a Arogya Doot, at least at the village level, which is very important. And lastly, we have this army of self-help groups. I think MAVIM, this Women's Economic Development Corporation is there, and they are really working very hard for mask production and all that. I think in every village, you will find all these temples, Prarthana Mandirs and SHGs. So we need to work and we need to learn a lot from Kerala. At GP's level, we are working very closely with Gram Panchayats. I will classify it into 4 categories. Number 1 is lot of GPs, Gram Panchayats are very proactive. They have decided their plans quite before they hand. And I will say, I may not be a partial, but all these elected women leaders, elected women sarpanchas, actually they have planned very nicely. And we have got one UNICEF circular, and on that basis we had prepared one material, poster and brochure, that is Corona Free Panchayat, how to maintain it. And we had given complete guidelines to all these elected women leaders, and that was very useful. Actually, we can say number of women leaders who are doing that. Second is there are some women leaders and even male leaders who are very interactive. I have made 4 parts. One is very proactive, second one is interactive, third one is very creative also, and finally very reactive panchayats. So second one is we can say interactive. All these women leaders, male leaders, they were trying to contact number of civil society organizations, government departments, their party workers. So and they have started number of community kitchens before, because we have not received our food grains in time. I think this issue is there. Non-BJP state and BJP state, we need to work on that very hard. So we have not received our money. We have not received our food grains also. Still, we are distributing only rice. Other things are not there. So we have to focus on that. So that is wherever we did not get this money in time. So all these women leaders, they started community kitchens in various areas. There are some of the community, these women leaders and even male leaders, they have started actually very creative ideas. They have started farm quarantine. Actually, quarantine centers not in schools only, but in their agricultural area, in their farm areas. I think that was very useful, and they could contribute to them. And it was like, people were taking care of all these quarantine patients. That was very nice. And we had number of fights, conflicts, crises wherever we had party dominant gram panchayats. So there are a number of fights with regard to, there are number of vested interests lying at that level. Most of the times wherever sarpanchas is having PDS shops, and he is the sarpanchas, or his wife is having PDS shops. So this type of issues and conflicts were definitely there, and vested interest versus this COVID was one thing, and violence is naturally took place. We enter into it wherever it was possible, but it's very important that wherever this party centered panchayats are there, a lot of reactions we have to deal with. With regard to future, I'll finish it. With regard to future, I feel it's very important that we have to work on rural reverse rehabilitation program of migrants. I think it's very important. We need to go for strengthening village institutions, and actually there are a number of programs which we are developing under this category. So it's like, Gram Panchayat is a community-based institution. They are real CBIs. So how to strengthen them is very important. We need to go for it. Challenges which we are facing is still local networks. We call it digital, but panchayat networks are very weak. We need to work on that. Secondly, we have got this government resolution that Gram Sabha will not take place for 1 year, which is very dangerous, and we will be fighting with the government on that. 1576 Gram Panchayats are under the administration. Actually, all these Gram Panchayats, they were doing so nice work. Where this team will go now, because all administrators will be gone, bureaucrats, that will be a problem. Again, we are discussing that issue. I think quick medicine is ration and rozgar. We need to make this both the strategies very clear, and it's very important that how to go about it. I think it's very important. This is the time that we can make 73rd amendment and devolution very effectively. Thank you. Jai Jagat. Now we should leave out this Jai Maharashtra. We should work for Jai Jagat, because that is the slogan of COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhim. You have brought to the forefront the ground reality of a very big state, Maharashtra, and which was a role model at one time. And now where are we? You have said it very correctly. And let us hope that we can create a new path forward. Now, may I invite Dr. Yogesh Kumar? What is happening in Madhya Pradesh, the big state in North India with big tradition, and what is the ground reality now? Yogesh?
Thank you, Chair, my co-panelists and participants. Thank you, Kila and Gil, for providing me this opportunity. It's a useful platform, and I think very timely. And I think all the speakers have already spoken a lot on.
വീഡിയോ കിട്ടാത്ത എന്താ കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല ഉച്ചോട്ട് നമ്മുടെ വെബിനാറിന്റെ അല്ല ഞാൻ ഉച്ചവരെ കണ്ടോണ്ടിരുന്നതാ. ഉച്ചയ്ക്ക് ലഞ്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടപ്പം എനിക്ക് വീഡിയോ മാത്രം കിട്ടുന്നില്ല, ഓഡിയോ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ.
I don't know. Somebody is speaking at the.
No, you carry on. You carry on.
അവിടെ കുഴപ്പമില്ലായിരിക്കും. ഞാനിവിടെ ഇനി എന്തെങ്കിലും ചെയ്തു.
You please carry on.
You rightly said, I come from the state of Madhya Pradesh.
Connect ചെയ്ത് കൊടുക്കണോ?
Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. It used to be one of the front runner states in terms of devolution. And as Anita ji has said, that we have to talk about some of the concepts in the right perspective. Since morning, one thing that has been talked about is local self-governance or government. I think we should call it local government because this is the Tisri Sarkar, and Tisri Sarkar has to be recognized by the state and the center.
Unless, ഞാൻ നാളെ ഉള്ളൂ. കാണുന്നുണ്ട്.
Unless
technical problem. Carry on.
Somewhere some noise is coming.
Okay.
Please carry on. You carry on.
Okay. So that is important to understand that we have to establish it as a local government, and unless we work for it, and I think in COVID times, panchayats have proven their mettle, and there may be few in numbers, as Binoy has said, who have been proactive, but I think they have demonstrated leadership, and number of examples have been given in terms of taking care of the migrants who are coming back, providing ration to the poorest of the poor, collecting grains, food grains that can be distributed in time of crisis, implementing the schemes of the government, whether this is PM Kalyan Yojana or others. So panchayats have demonstrated their response, resilience in this time of crisis for the poor. But on the other side, when Binoy said that a large number are still non-responsive or they are dormant, and Bhimbai has also mentioned about them as reactive or non-reactive. I think we have to look at the way state governments and bureaucracy has been treating them. In Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, more than 500 instructions has been issued to panchayats, what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. When the bureaucracy is not able to reach to the villages, they are on the forefront dealing with the issues on a daily basis on the local context, but the instructions are coming from the top. That is confusing them. Are they the government, or the government at a distance is running it? So they become dormant also. Recently, I'll give you an illustration of one of the examples. In the third week of April, one of the instruction was given that 14th Finance Commission money cannot be used for setting up quarantine centers, arranging food and other things. After 3 weeks, they realized that so many migrants are coming back. So they said, now that order is cancelled and you can use the money as per the rules and instructions of the government. Nobody knows what are the rules and instructions of the government. It is on their own wish, and also whatever instruction they get from the district administration, they will have to do that. So as a result, many of the panchayats will not work on it unless very clear guidance is given on these issues. So that is, I think, so the state has not reposed their trust on the panchayats to deliver the best in the interest of preventing the COVID, as well as protecting the rights of the citizens, those who have elected them. So that's, I think, a dichotomy we are engaged in. So I think I would like to take the agenda forward, and in the morning session, some of the threads were given by the speakers that this COVID situation is going to continue. There would be a new order with the COVID. And this is the time when we can really try to transform the rural economy with so many migrants coming back. And the self-reliance is possible only when we think about district as a complete unit. Because villages, small towns have to be in a rural-urban continuum. The small urban centers are the service centers for the rural areas. They provide economies to scale for the small and medium-sized industries. And so that linkage has to be built if we want to make them Atmanirbhar. So Atmanirbharta will come at the district level. Anita ji and many others said, in that sense of the term, we have to strengthen the district planning committee, because that is the only legitimate planning body that we have in this country, that can synergize the resources, that can converge the resources, that can think of the economic development function of the Panchayati Raj institution in a perspective. So that is, I think, one area we have to. So the skilling, the people who have come back with the skills, how they can be mapped, and as you rightly said, why the collector should decide the skill development in the district. Why not all the elected representatives should come together and figure out what should be the clusters where the economic activities can be and what could be the complementarity. So we have to think about refashioning the 73rd and 74th Amendment as a unified local government act. That will only strengthen the district planning process and district as a unit of development. The second is the economic justice function that has been in question many times. There are some positive examples where the poor have been provided ration by the panchayats, going out of the way. In Chhattisgarh, for example, in each panchayat, 2 quintals of rice has been kept and 50 kgs of the pulses have been kept, and panchayats have taken that advantage and given it to the ultra poor and the Naxalite affected districts where we have been working over the last many years. So those are the examples. And there are the examples where panchayats, 70 to 80% of the people have kitchen gardens, and these are the panchayats, they have become self-reliant in vegetables and fruits, and they have demonstrated that this is possible on a small scale. On the social justice issues, many people who are coming back are not being taken passionately, and that is where we need to work with, that panchayats are not only the service delivery agencies, but the agencies of social change, and they will have to be assimilative of the people who are coming. They have to be assimilative of the different kinds of people living in their panchayats. So that is, I think, one area where I think we need to work. The gender-based violence have increased because of the lockdown in panchayats, where the men have been living with that, and panchayats have not taken into consideration what they are supposed to do. Therefore, those kind of orientation and training is extremely important for panchayats in this current time. Now, the last point I would like to say is that the model that Kerala has shown, and I think that has worked well, is to devolve all the basic services of education, health, water, sanitation to the local government. Madhya Pradesh had started an experiment of Zilla Sarkar, where all the functionaries within the district were under the control of the Zilla Sarkar, and transfers and their performance assessment was being done. And that strengthens the local government, the 3 tiers of the local government with different powers, and provides a kind of a collaborative model of the administration, as you rightly said, with the local government. So devolving these services to panchayats will become extremely important, providing them resources and powers so that they can develop their own plans, they can plan their own functionaries to function in such time would be extremely important. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much for giving this time.
To the forefront, very important issues. And finally, I feel that we have to go to real Gram Sabha. And that is where the justice system can begin also, not from above, but from below. So many issues are there in a state like Madhya Pradesh, and let us hope that all these issues will be brought to the forefront. We will discuss that later on. Now, may I invite Mahipal from, he will speak about Haryana. How is Haryana doing? Mahipal?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please continue. Please begin.
Chair, sir, and I'm very grateful to Joy, Director General of KILA, and the gift giving me this opportunity to share my views on COVID in case of Haryana. and I would be about we say that this problem is not that much serious because this recovery rate is very high. And if we talk in terms of disasters, that is vulnerability. So this is a physical vulnerability, that is a social vulnerability, structural vulnerability, economic vulnerability. But in case of Haryana, it is, I say that it is a vicinity vulnerability because that's more than 60% of the cases are in the 4 districts, which is the part of the NCR. That is, Sonipat, Jhajjar, Gurgaon, and Faridabad. And here, the issue of BB has to be seen in context of COVID, that is build back and better. In this context, I would be talking about what the state has been doing for this purpose and the panchayat different level and what would be the solution for that. At a state level, I think it is Haryana is the only state, I think so, that where the state disaster plan has been prepared by HIPAA. And each and every district's disaster plan has also been prepared for 5 years to 15 years, giving the different flexibility in the plan. So based on that, the state government has issued the guidelines in March, addressing and telling the role and responsibility of different department, and that is very important in this context that has been issued. Okay. Now, another interesting thing is there is a one site that is called Har Adesh. Har means every, Adesh means order. Each and every orders relating to it, it is available on that website. You want to see what is issued in Karnal, I can see what this is the order issued by them. Or the daily, the media report is also available. How much cases are there? How much positiveness is there? Positive cases are there? How much negative? That is also there. Very important. Another issue is that the state government has issued order that 20,000 rupees to each and every gram panchayat, which income is less than 2 lakhs. And if the income is more than 2 lakhs, is own resources, the common resources very high here, common land. So that sanction has been given by the state government to use that 20,000 for sanitization. Exemptions has been given. This order is there that if the laborers are there, rents are there, the rents are exempted. MG Narega, that is identified, and MG Naregas will be given job in the mandis, and that money will be given by the state government and not the panchayats, and the panchayat will identify who will be the working in the mandis. So these are the state level. Now I will come to the panchayat. So there are 3-tier structure here. At the gram panchayat level, as our friend from different states are saying, that assume that the GPDP, Gram Panchayat Development Plan, committee system, each and everything is happening. So such type of problem will not arise. But that issue has not been there. That has not been addressed. But however, they have been very active in spraying, vigilance in the road, that Nauka Lagana, that is check that so nobody will enter there, sanitizer, mask, awareness building, and ration to those who are needy. That is not a problem. And here in Haryana, that if there is some problem, that all will come together, and there are many institutions like this is also very important here. So MG Narega, that is a job is given by the irrigation department, that I talked to some persons also there. SHGs has been formed, which are also helping to give the this mask to the needies. Now, in the field, it is noticed that the social distancing, that is the physical distancing, is a serious problem because that has not been adhered to. I talked to the Sarpanch also. They said they informed to the police, but that was not very difficult area, very challenge for them to control that issue. Now, at Panchayat Samiti level, Jila Panchayat level, their roles are there, but they were not aware. I talked to the person there, chairman there, but they were not aware. Even the Disaster Management Act 2005. That is at the district level, district disaster management authority. That the Jila Panchayat chairman is the co-chairman of the committee authority. But I talked to them; they were not aware. So that type of illiteracy is available at that level. I asked what is the role, whether the constitutional committee, general committee, other committee. We will do. We'll talk to the video. We'll talk to this. So such type of awareness is there. So what I say that at the Panchayat Samiti or Jila Panchayat level, there is not much engagement in this context. And one of the Jila Panchayat chairman said me that what is that in Hindi? Prasasan or Afsar Raj hai. It means that the administration and the bureaucracy are holding the balance. So they are also engaged in that, but more focus on the line departments are holding the balance. They are using the Panchayat elected representative. They are playing their role very importantly. And one of the Jila Panchayat chairman also said, if there is some problem, if there is no problem, they are holding the balance of bureaucracy. If there is some issue, some risk, they put to the Panchayat. Oh yes, you handle it, your responsibility. How you have not constituted the committee, you have not done this thing, that thing. So such type of things has been gathered from the field. Now, what is to be done? So the important thing that I just mentioned, that BBB, build back and better, means recovery, rehabilitations, and reconstruction. In this context, what is required? A simple thing, the capacity development. I'm not talking training. About the training, it is in SIRD there, there is no director of the SIRD. A deputy commissioner is taking the charge. So here, capacity development means training, awareness, and adequate power and authority at different level, keeping in view the subsidiary principles in the institutions and organizations. Now, if we see our friend from Madhya Pradesh talk about that the 11 schedules contain all these things. This health is there, this ration is there, maintenance is there, everything is there. So what is required? So here the need is to develop the institution, to develop the capacity development of different stakeholders, so that the BBB model of the disaster management would be fructified and it will be taken care on sustainable basis. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
That you are saying all these negative things about a state where you are coming from Kurukshetra, yesterday, who started all these ideas in the post-independent India. Kurukshetra, the Haryana's central place. There, this is the negative aspects you are talking. We can discuss that later. Now, we have with us Preeta Lal to give a summary of what has happened in the discourse today. Hello, Preeta Lal.
Thank you, Dr. Matthew. Thank you to the organizers for giving me an opportunity. Thank you for the panelists for so succinctly putting such diverse issues. And there is a clear resonance across all the presentations. All along one hears evidences of agility and responsiveness of the local governments in the face of such a big crisis of such large magnitude, in their ability to not just make the citizens aware, in IEC actions, in enforcing lockdown to the best possible, ensuring sanitization, leveraging volunteerism. This is what we heard time and again, of being able to raise monetary resources, labor resources from the citizens, in also trying to leverage programs like the NREGS. This is what we heard on the positive side. An interesting presentation being juxtaposed by Binoy Acharya, really presenting the failure of a centralist approach in managing this crisis. as opposed to more decentralized approaches, the paradigm of which is illustrated best in the case of Kerala, explaining very well that when the legitimacy and the credibility of local governments is questioned, it is very difficult to respond to this pandemic and the scale in which it is unfolding. The confusions that are created by lack of information, by lack of coherent government orders, by constant changing, also in a way paralyzes the local governments and clearly debilitates their ability to function in the system. Repeatedly, what we heard was the need to repose greater faith in local governments, to strengthen the Gram Panchayat development plans, to make it the central tool around which convergence takes place, to strengthen the working of the public health system at the local level with the local governance system. So the clear plea over here was to try and streamline and dovetail programs, converge them as much as possible, make sure that the kind of convergence one has seen in Kerala with the district plans already being prepared, integrating them with the GPDP, partnering of the Kutum Shri or the self-help group movement along with the local governments, many instances being referred to and possibly being GPDP being seen as a vehicle of making this actually happen in the times to come. Repeatedly, what we also heard was the challenge that all the local governments are now confronted with this reverse migration that is happening, and therefore the need to prepare our local governments to be confronted with this new challenge, besides, of course, all the work that has to be done in containment, but also making sure that all these citizens that are returning are gainfully employed, have some resources to manage their livelihoods, is a big challenge that is being confronted, and therefore the need for skill mapping and integrating that as well, so that they're fruitfully employed and they can contribute to the local economy, mapping them and including that as much in the GPDP. I'll leave it at there, but significant resonance for what Anita ji said was the rural renaissance, the need to once more reinvest, refashion local governments, not have so much distinction between rural and urban anymore, learn from each other, integrate as much, dovetail and converge as much as possible. I'll leave it at that, Dr. Matthew, and I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita. And I am very sure that this discussion will be great. So, Prida, we are very grateful to the summary you have given. And let me, Thomas is here. May I take 2 minutes, Thomas?
Go ahead.
Pardon?
I think there are some questions pending. The panelists could respond to them.
Okay, sir. Question.
Sorry, I couldn't be here throughout. I had to go out for a meeting.
Which are the questions?
And also, chairperson got disconnected. He deserves at least 2 minutes. We are sympathetic to you. Okay, there are a number of questions, but the most pressing ones, perhaps we will highlight. A question to all: can anyone enlighten what are your special considerations to include and increase access of persons with disabilities living with different types of impairments in your COVID response interventions? Anyone, including Joy Element. Question is to you. So we have I think the minister will answer that question. Then we have highlights and some questions like people are very happy that the Sarpanches, Anita Kumari says Sarpanches, what is called WhatsApp group looks very exciting idea. No coordination between the government and NGOs or organizations which are working on the ground, Vinaya Maladi Hari is worried about. Let me come to questions. Specific questions to Professor Rossi. Since Gram Panchayat size in Punjab is very small, has there been any role of the block and district panchayats in COVID works? There is a top-down communication from state panchayat with the thematic messages, but is there any initiative of upward feedback from the Gram Panchayats to the higher levels? To Mr. Beam, great initiative with EPWS, but in approximately how many districts? I mean, I think quite many of your discussions, the numbers are missing. That is what, in fact, morning the minister was asking some questions at the same time. What proportion of the people are actually getting access to? Jaspal Singh, now journalist, he is making a remark, sad news for Gujarat, no participation of the public. True, it is the reason for rise in cases. Big threat in Maharashtra, if no Gram Sabha for 1 year, this becomes a step for undemocratic, whatever it is. Finally, I will stop with Nanda Kumar. Yes, that is the problem in Gujarat. The decentralization and Panchayat Raj should be strengthened. That is the difference between Kerala and Gujarat or any other states in India. The center has no administrative control over states or union territories to ensure decentralization to 3-tier panchayats. Center is overburdened with too much of power, too much of resources and responsibilities, and so poor in governance and efficiency. So another remark. Okay, I'll stop here and over to the chairperson and the minister.
So,
of course, there are questions. I think chair may take it up.
So first, Dr. Thomas Isaac. Thomas Isaac, you may respond, and after that I'll conclude.
I've been listening from the morning. What struck me is, though the Gram Panchayats, the Panchayat Raj system has been on the decline for some time now, there is something happening. Okay, that's something very impressive. Okay, they may not be up to expectations, but local governments are responding. And it's also very clear that many things can be done only at the local level. In fact, if you look at Kerala, the kind of response that we have been able to have is primarily because of the strength of our local governments and, of course, the public health system. And the public health system is a transferred institution as the PHCs and up to the taluk hospitals. And therefore, local governments are very actively involved in public health activities. So it is taken for granted that local governments will be playing an important role. This may not be the situation in other states, but nevertheless, I think this pandemic shows the inherent strength of the local government, the potential within the local government. As somebody here mentioned, the government cannot reach out to every village, and the virus is there in every village, and it has to be micromanaged also. The isolating those who are infected, or keeping them under observation, providing them for minimum sustenance and so on. But by and large, story from North India is, I think, very weak when compared to Eastern India. I don't know if it was a presentation that made the difference, but it's very evident that North Indian states extremely weak response from the local governments also. I don't know if George would agree with me. I would say in the 3 regional groupings that we have, the local governments are relatively stronger in the south, perhaps least in the north. and Western India. Maybe that. Okay, I will stop here.
I will just add to the, respond to the question on the differently abled. See, here in Kerala, the local governments right from the very beginning had mapped the various vulnerable sections of the society, including the differently abled, the elderly, those who are in bedridden patients, all kinds of people of that sort, so that all the surveillance, all the support systems and all are for all of them more specifically and more focused. So right from the beginning, the local governments have been focusing on such groups of people. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a very important comment that Joy made. Okay, local governments funds that revolve to them, about 10% is earmarked for differently able, aged, and so on. And therefore, local governments are already very aware of the challenges facing these people. And now we are going into the reverse quarantining process. We are opening up the economy, withdrawing from the exiting from the lockdown. Now we intend to keep our fatality rate at a very low level. Okay. There is no question of opening up and taking a attitude that let herd immunity develop and it's inevitable to have some deaths and so on. Nothing of that sort. We are going to ensure that about 15%, 20% of the population will have to stay indoors. Now, local governments are able to deliver this. I mean, deliver means you have to telemedicine, delivery of drugs at home, the destitutes food have to be provided, palliative care given, or even entertainment and so on for the people who are counseling, for example. Now, all this have to be provided. Now, we are very confident this can be done because local governments are already into the game, into the issues. They have been, in the past years, working on projects on these sectors. And therefore, now, the next phase of the COVID war, this is going to be the main focus, reverse quarantining, keep all these people in the house, protect them, so that the fatality rate in Kerala will remain at a very, very low level.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Thomas, Joseph, and Joy. It was a very good and innovative idea to have this webinar on this critical issue. And many, many thanks. And I hope many other organizations and states will follow this pattern. I'm very sorry that in the beginning, because of technical reasons, I could not be part of the first few presentations. But what I understand is that the scholars, the intellectuals, and the activists today are becoming more and more proactive to bring institutions of local self-government real and active. And this was ignored. This is the 27th anniversary of the 73rd Constitutional Amendment. 27 years have passed. And then we were hearing what is the reality on the ground, except a very, very few states and a pioneering state like Kerala. Now, if this is happening today, another calamity can come nationally or globally or regionally another time. And how will we respond? And we have to do a lot of thinking about it. My first point is that we have to really plan a national campaign and to really implement the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment. Why Kerala is today at this position? Because of that people's plan campaign the Kerala provided. It conscientized the entire population. That conscientization is not there in this country. And we have to take all the states and the state leaders, the civil society, everybody has to come together for that. And that is, in other words, the investing in people. We are not today investing in people. Investing in people, we may say only education. Yes, education, and it has several other aspects of it. And if we create that investing in people, then that creates social capital. And when we have that social capital, we can really fight any calamity and save the people. The poor, the needy, the weak, everybody will be in the center of our concern. So let us have a slogan, our panchayats, our future. Hamara panchayats, hamara bhavish. If we can create that, then the other governments can be built on that base foundation. Without a foundation, how can you create an edifice? So let us all champion this, campaign for it under the leadership of the pioneers in this, and all the intellectuals and thinkers who have been participating in it was very inspiring indeed. And let us not give up. Let us go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew, the chairperson and the panelists, it was indeed, as our minister rightly said, it was a very enlightening session. Of course, the West and North move a long way forward, but a big beginning has been made. We're happy about it. Thank you very much. Now we are actually late by a few